Hi, I'm Dr. Tanya, editor to the newsletter of Australia-India Business Council. Welcome to this wonderful interview. And today we have got a very, very interesting person who is, for the first time in the history of Australia-India Business Council, being a representation from the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders. Thank you so much for joining us. Florence, over to you. Could you please introduce yourself so that all of us would get to know more about you?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Tanya, for having me, and for everyone as well for welcoming me into the Australia-India Business Council. My name is Florence Drummond. I'm a Dara Rebwuthathi woman from far north Queensland, so all the way over on the eastern states between Australia and Papua New Guinea. That's where I was born and raised. I acknowledge that I'm here joining you from Wajak Noongar country, so over here in Perth. And so my career and my interests are in mining, so that's where my business is based. I'm currently a consultant to industry around Indigenous engagement, and that's definitely what I hope to bring to my contribution towards the Australia-India Business Council.
Fantastic. You know, really, when we heard about you being the chair, and it was just absolute moment of pride for us from Australia-India Business Council. Yes, absolutely. And in a lot of ways, we feel very connected to the Indigenous community in Australia. I'm talking about Indian people of Indian origin. We do feel very connected. We somehow kind of in a way share a lot of values and the spirituality very much in common. So, you know, we couldn't be happier having someone like you who's representing the community joining our business council. So do you have the similar feeling in your community about Indian? What is the general feel?
Absolutely. Look, I'm so grateful to be here and to really learn about our cultures as well, and how similar we are. And you're right, you know, all of our values, specifically to our families, are so alike, you know, to our food, to our celebration. You know, we love all those things that we share with your culture as well. What I look forward to the most is really around the education piece, to introduce Indigenous culture here in Australia to cultures over in India as well, because I believe that we don't know enough of each other. And as we know, as minority groups here in Australia, we have so much more in common. And I think really embracing that, investing in that, and massaging that relationship, that's what I'm really looking forward to the most, because there's so much beauty in the richness of our culture. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, you're dead right. You're absolutely right. You know, I've been in the country for 11 years, and I feel I've never felt more ignorant, to be honest, than very recently, more so with the emerging pandemic situation and learning more about it. Got the opportunity to work closely with the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. I realized how little I was aware of the problems and the health issues, although there was always there in the back of our mind, and we are aware of the medical thing, but a lot of the belief system, the origins, I was very much little aware of all of that. So, you know, there would be people like me within the community who would love to learn from you. Perhaps it's something that you could share with us, like you said, as educational piece, and we would love to, have you write an article for the Business Council newsletter, so that we'll all be equally aware and also be able to embrace that the whole experience that you have being an Indigenous person. And that knowledge is important for us to understand the sensitivity and understand what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. So
absolutely.
I think in doing business in Australia and also getting into the market, I think anyone who's doing business here need to have that awareness of the native First Nation people.
Absolutely. And I agree on so many levels there. So from a societal perspective, we know that in our communities that we can start to learn more of each other, which is so important for our society, especially moving forward as well, where there's, systemic challenges that are from, our history and, similar backgrounds as well for us as, when we think about racism and minority groups and challenges moving forward, these are real things that we deal with. But then from a business perspective, there is so much value to be unlocked as well from both, investors coming into Australia, but also with people investing outside of Australia. There is so much business value that we can bring to each other. So I really look forward to assisting our business community with those opportunities as well.
Absolutely. So I would like, because I do wear the hat of health chapter chair. I'm always very curious about things that happens in the health area. So how would you see the opportunity in the space of health, especially in the First Nation community? What's trending? What are their concerns? What are the things that we could address?
Yeah, and look, there's so many things. That is such a big question, but also a compounded question as well, right? Because when we look at compounded disadvantage for Indigenous peoples, it is such a very strong disadvantage or disabler for us. Being born and raised in a community which is in Torres Strait, it's very far from any city centre. So access to education, firstly around health, was very, very rare. Access to good quality foods as well and nutrition, that is probably one of the biggest problems in infrastructure and community, because we just don't have that. And things are expensive, and things that are of poor quality are very expensive. And then you have things like alcohol as well, and like high sugar, drinks and all of those things. And I remember the other day looking at photos of my friends in my community and going, oh my gosh, you can just, that's the way. It was just so common to see so many things that were not going in the right direction. So it's a call to action for me to think about how I can assist that. With mining, especially, what I really thought of, and of course, Indigenous peoples and mining, that conversation can be very contradictory and very challenging and fragile. So this is something we've held for the last few years, and we've really looked at education to assisting people in understanding, people working in mining, or the financial empowerment and the economic benefits can be a real lever for helping ourselves to access better education for ourselves and our children, better health for ourselves and our children as well. So even though it's very challenging, there's a lot of opportunities that we can take from it as well.
Right. Some of the real key things that you talked about, yes, health, as well as the nutrition, the availability of nutritious food, good quality food. That's probably something that our viewers who would be in the agriculture or food industry could actually be looking at, and perhaps be able to reach out to yourself or some of the members in our business community to expand more on that. And the mining area is always, I understand, been a bit of a tricky area, but to understand the sensitivity, it is important for someone like yourself who has got the local knowledge, who understands the sensitivity. So if you're trying to communicate, for simple things, your permissions, where do you take the permissions from? So maybe I've been recently made aware of that. I would like you to talk about when someone wants to visit an Aboriginal community, who are the people that you take permissions from? Maybe it's something that viewers would like to know from you.
Absolutely. And thank you for that question, because it's such an important thing to address, right? Because people just assume that, I can just drive into a community.
It doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't work.
That's why I said, I felt I was so ignorant. Like, those were the little things that I have recently learned and understood. That's why I thought it would be so useful to talk to you and to hear from you, so that everyone also be empowered with that knowledge of how to ask permission, who to ask permission before they enter the Aboriginal community.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the most important approach, right? Is to have it in a positive way where it's positive engagement with good intentions. So in terms of asking permission, there are local land councils essentially in all Aboriginal communities. So there would be your best point of contact in terms of finding out more. It's a really fantastic research area as well for understanding whose country, that belongs to in terms of the traditional owner group, but also different statistical things as well. How many people live there? What's the main industry of the area as well for some of the business owners out there, and also some of the challenges that are also presented. Other things as well, local schools, and so thinking about the economy, the local economy, and if you're investing in that area or if you're a business owner that's in that area, how you can contribute as well to the community.
That's wonderful. So I hope that's very clear for all of viewers. It's not complicated. It's just knowing the procedures. That's more important, so that we can be mutually, in a better trade relationship. And I mentioned relationship. That is the most important thing. To having that trust, having that connection with the community is really important to drive the growth of business in your community. Moving on to the next thing, I'm sure people be, because I recently had the opportunity to be with few wonderful women of your community who's been successful in business. So for a recent event. So I'm sure there would be people from your community who would like to do business in India as well, because of so many different reasons. We have got very common spiritual connection and similarities, the family setup, the belief system, and we all love food.
I love that. Yes, we do all love food. But what we've seen a real growing amount of Indigenous business owners, entrepreneurs, people who are really hungry to do business together and really grow as well. So I think there's huge opportunity for businesses importing and exporting. And of course, then there's so much value that we can also draw from Indian suppliers, but also businesses on the ground there. And like you said, celebration of food, like that knowledge is just so priceless, in the sense that that's always returning in terms of an economy and a service and a product. So I think that's something we should certainly invest a lot more into. Yeah.
So if someone from the First Nation community want to engage with people in India, is that something that your company, or there any services that that First Nation people can go to get further advice and things? Of course, Business Council will be there. So maybe we could use this platform to actually communicate with them.
Absolutely. I think that's a fantastic idea. And that's something I'm really looking forward to sharing more on, is that how can we customize things to meet your business needs? Because often there's different levels of commitments, there's different sizes of businesses as well, and different, investment options in terms of allocating towards engagement, in terms of relationships and moving forward. So yes, so what I'm most excited about is engaging with everyone out there who's interested to learn more. Because of course, it really does unlock a lot of value as well in terms of your business, because of the requirements now for the Indigenous procurement policy, all to do with business and employment. So happy to help you navigate that. And that will be through the work with the Australia-India Business Council. I might be a bit busy, but this is a space that's so important to grow for our future for both of us.
Fantastic. So we will close this chat very soon. Before that, may I officially announce that you'd be helping us and the community, a Business Council community, with the knowledge and educate us more into Aboriginal culture, the do's and don'ts around doing business and things like that in the coming edition. And we'll be delighted to have your articles regularly. I know you're a busy person, as much as whenever you can. Our community would be really accepting of this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I look forward to learning more about your culture and your practices and the opportunities as well where we can contribute to each other. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm grateful.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Well, until next time, hopefully we'll see you in person.
Definitely. See you soon. Thank you.
Bye.